My husband's ex-wife is demanding that I give her daughter a brand new car, or she's going to tell my husband my dirty little secret. I was just so close to giving up on love. Real close. Not until I found my present husband. I've been married to Anthony for a while now, and not once has it made me doubt the marriage. If there was only one thing that's made me doubt the marriage, it would be Anthony's ex-wife. His ex-wife wasn't really supposed to be part of our lives, but then she keeps reminding us that as long as her daughter Julie's with us, she's just always going to stress us out. Let me back this story up a bit. There's a lot that's happened over the years, and there's still more to come. Julie's mother is still hanging around the corner, ready to cause more drama. However, let me get into the proper details of this story by narrating some past events of my life. More like a backstory. I met Julie's dad in my early 30s. At that stage, I'd convinced myself that being single for the rest of my life and owning a cat to keep me company was what I had going for me. Did I feel sad about it? No, I really didn't. I've been in several whack relationships, and by the end of my 20s, already made the conclusion that staying on my own and being happy mattered more than being miserable in a relationship. However, my fate changed when I walked into a bar for a drink with my girlfriends. It was just another Friday night, per usual. Drinks with the girls was something I felt had to be done. After over 1 hour of drinking and dancing about, I decided to give myself a break by sitting at one of the bar counters and getting myself a light drink. Well, I was just about gulping my light drink when a dude, who seemed to be in his 40s, took a seat beside me. He looked drained, like he was going through a bad day or something. He asked for a drink, but that night it seemed that he needed far more than a drink. "Bad day, huh?" was the first thing I said to him, and he replied back with, "Oh, very bad." Within the next few minutes, we began sharing jokes. For a while, he seemed to be distracted by whatever distressing thoughts he had in his mind. Several more minutes passed, and I had to ask what was going through his mind. The man in his 40s told me about how he just finalized his divorce papers and he wasn't very happy about it. According to him, his wife has been giving him a very tough time for the past few years. Not only was she a cheat, but she'd hardly spent any time with the family. That wasn't all. This man's ex-wife has been taking contraceptive pills, so she wouldn't have any more kids. For several years after having their first child, they'd both been praying to God for a second kid. The wife could have opened up to him that she wanted no more kids, but instead, she played along by acting like it wasn't her fault that had no other kids. The distressed man sat by his side at the bar and told me about the day he found out his wife had been preventing them from having children. He was, I would say, beyond depressed about it, and it gave him so much doubt about the marriage. It wasn't long after that he realized his wife had been sleeping with his boss, well, and also his younger brother, for the last few years. Not only did he file for a divorce, but he also cut off ties with his best friend and brother. His ex-wife was quite negligent, so he won the child custody case in court. His ex-wife wasn't so happy about it, because even though she'd hardly talk to their child, her ego would not let her admit that she was a bad mother. Quote, "I carried her for 9 months. You can't take her away from me just like that," was the words the man said his wife told him several times while they were in the process of signing those divorce letters. Their child hates her, and yet she would not admit that she'd failed as a mom. He was really depressed because not only had they finalized their divorce that day, but he was also thinking of getting a restraining order just to keep his ex-wife away from him and their daughter if she would not be in her best behavior. The distressed man is Anthony, the man I got married to just about 10 months after I first met him at the bar. I know, no need to tell me the marriage was quite quick. I was all up in my feelings because Anthony overwhelmed me with his love. It seemed quite like a fairy tale story. Anthony should have still been mourning the divorce with his wife, but somehow, him meeting me made him just feel a different type of love that he said he never felt before, not even from his ex-wife. At first I thought I was just a rebound, something to keep him distracted from thoughts of his divorce. Honestly, sometimes I still think that I started out as a rebound, but we've come so far. Our families think that we're both crazy for just jumping into a marriage 10 months after meeting. It was low-key private court wedding with just some friends and family. It was just that they thought we were crazy for getting married 10 months just after we met. But Anthony was more crazy for getting remarried then, months after divorcing his wife of 15 years. Our friends and family weren't the only ones who thought our marriage was crazy. Anthony's ex-wife also did. For some reason, which I couldn't quite pinpoint my hands on, Anthony's ex-wife Jenny just could not stay out of our business. She would drop in every now and then with the excuse that she wants to check up on her daughter, Julie. She felt quite guilty after everything she had done. However, Julie hated her mother's guts and just simply would not see her. It is quite my fault, though, I have to say. I convinced Anthony not to get a restraining order on Jenny because she is Julie's mother and his ex-wife. I felt she at least had a right to access her daughter no matter what. However, there were days I regretted that decision. I just couldn't take it back. The day Jenny dropped by our house and asked to see Anthony outside was when I realized my husband's ex-wife was not going to stay clear of our business. Yes, I wanted her to see her daughter once in a while, but then in a discreet way, not a way that would make us so uncomfortable. On that day, I overheard Jenny telling Anthony out the porch that he sacrificed 15 years of marriage to hook up with someone he only met for 10 months. She talked about how much she still loved him and that if he only had been a little bit more patient, they could have just sorted things out and become a normal family again. I was so irritated, but I did not interrupt their convo and I let it play out. For a slight moment, I wondered if I was the third party in a marriage and not Jenny. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. I hope everyone's having a great day. So this story is about to take a drastic turn. I'll tell you right now, everybody thought in the comment section that the story was over. They were asking for an update, but it just never came. For a whole year. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and let's jump into update number 1. It's been almost a year that I got married to Anthony, and one of the things I've realized so far was that even though Julie hates her mother, I could bet that she hates me equally. She wasn't exactly excited about I and her father's marriage. She would complain to him about how she thought it was too fast, and how she wasn't comfortable with another woman moving into the house with him. One day, I summoned up the courage to talk to Jenny, and she told me straight to my face that we did not have to be friends just because I was married to her dad. I asked why she hated me so much, and she said that I appeared to be quite desperate. Julie is about 15 years old, but then she'd already understands that getting married to a man after just meeting him for 10 months was quite weird. I tried to explain to her that I was madly in love with her father, and vice versa. But then she told me that her father probably saw me as a rebound. Julie said I should not be surprised if we got divorced within the next 2 to 3 years. I was hurt by Julie's words, and for a while made up my mind not to have anything to do with her around the house. But then, Julie is only a teenager who was grieving her parents' divorce, and the fact that she's been neglected from a mother's care for so long, I could understand where she was coming from. But I couldn't stand and do nothing. I love Anthony so much, and I'm happy with the way things are going in my marriage. But I wanted to also have a healthy relationship with his daughter. So I did make efforts to give her gifts weekly, cook special meals for her, and even volunteered to go get her nails did, because I used to be a nail technician. Of course, Julie did not really want any of those things from me, and in more than one occasion she straight up declined my offers. Finally, I decided to let Julie be on her own little world. I just gave her space that she said she needed, and so stopped getting gifts for her, trying to get her nails done or anything. She was a teenager and needed to decide who she wanted to be friends with and who she wanted to keep aside, and I respected those decisions. At least, that's what I told myself. Anthony tried not to meddle in our affairs. He did not tell me to give her space, neither did he tell me not to do so. I guess he felt we would sort things out ourselves. It seems like we would never do, and honestly, that's okay. Jenny, on the other hand, would not take no for an answer. She would drop off at the house every now and then, and I'd watch some drama unfold. I'd watch how Julie would ignore her mother every time she dropped by, and would even call her a manipulative jerk. One day, I just had to face Julie's mom myself, and tell her to stay away from Julie because it seemed like her daughter didn't want her around. I also explained to her that the family needed its privacy and space. Obviously, she didn't take that very lightly. She was quite offended and said that I destroyed her marriage. She even said that if Anthony did not meet me, they would have probably made up because his heart was so weak. That wasn't all, though. Jenny also said that probably her ex-husband has been in a relationship with me long before they got divorced. Most likely the divorce was just an excuse to get together with me. Jenny heard my confrontation with her mother, and then on the dining table the next evening, told her dad all about it. Then she faced me immediately after and said that just because she wasn't cool with her mother didn't mean I had to stick up for her by telling her mother to back off from the house. Anthony looked right at me as if I had done something shocking. I had to explain to him at the table that the reason I went to confront Julie's mom was because she seemed to still be lurking around when she clearly wasn't invited. Anthony didn't really make a fuss about it with me, but somehow I felt quite bad. I also felt hurt because it seemed that my efforts to have a healthy relationship with Julie would never be seen. That seemed to be my new reality though, and the earlier I accepted it, the better. There's still so much drama to unfold though, I can feel it. Update number 2, 6 months later. I last confronted Julie's mom about her constant disturbance in our home. The situation has changed since then. Something I did not expect to happen took place, and I'm so happy because of it. I and Julie have become quite close over the last 6 months. She had begun to trust me, and I had begun to realize that maybe Julie did not need a mother figure after all. Maybe all she needed was a friend. Although she hardly had that love of her mother, but then who said she needed it anyways from me? She didn't want to be babied or treated like a child. Well, not she was one anyways. Julie is 16 years of age. Well, my closeness with Julie started about 3 months ago, shortly after she broke up with her high school sweetheart. They've been dating for over a year, and she could swear that he was the one she was going to get married to after high school. He'd been to the house for dinner one of those days before they broke up. Not to lie, I was quite jealous of Julie. When I was Julie's age, I had no idea what love even meant. My friend group was all I had. Well, Julie broke up with her boyfriend after she caught him kissing the girl he promised her he would not get involved with. She told her friends about it, but they didn't give her the kind of comfort she wanted. She felt that they would laugh about it behind her back. She came home that day, and I could immediately see the sadness. However, we clearly established boundaries, and I didn't feel it was necessary to ask her what went wrong, because I respected her decision not to have anything to do with me. I was quite surprised when Julie lightly knocked my room, just to talk. She needed someone older to her that she was going to be alright with, and that was exactly what I did. After that day, we became even more friendly. She would tell me about her past relationships, and I would talk to her about mine. She felt safe in my presence, and I was finally glad that I had a friend. Anthony was real excited about it too. He never imagined I and Julie to ever become close. A few weeks after Julie broke up with her boyfriend, I began to notice that we were drifting apart again. It seemed that our close friendship did not last for so long after all. At least, that's what I felt. I summoned up the courage to ask Julie how things have been with her, and why she's no longer updating me about her life, and she said it's because she has done something that she knew I wouldn't like. I didn't know why she felt that way. I could never judge Julie, never. I asked Julie what it was all about, and she said, less than 3 weeks after breaking up with her boyfriend, she got involved with one of her best friends. although their relationship was quite private at the moment because Julie was ashamed of it. "I know you'd be disappointed in me," she told me. However, I assured Julie that I have no right to condemn her for what she's did. But disappointed? Probably, but then she's human and situations like that could happen, especially when she's just a teenager. I told Julie she had to be sure of those feelings with her ex-boyfriend's best friend, and make sure that it wasn't just a rebound affair. Well, then Julie told me that the boy she was currently dating also recently broke up with her. That was when it struck me that it was probably a rebound affair. I told her to be really careful about it so she wouldn't get hurt. About a week later, Julie told me that she'd broken up with him already, and he said, "We needed to heal," is what she told me. Well, at this time, we became even much closer. We shared things together all the time, and Anthony was really impressed. Julie's mom, well, she wasn't so impressed. She noticed the closeness between Julie and me, not that Julie cared about what she thought anyways. Jenny still attempted to visit us. However, this time, Julie did not push her away, but still is not giving her the attention her mother craves. I don't feel bad for Jenny because she's been quite manipulative, not only to her daughter, but also to her ex-husband. She was only feeling the guilt after the divorce, and Anthony would have none of it. However, I do feel that quite soon, Julie might totally forgive her mother and becomes friends with her. Not that I wouldn't want a mother and daughter to have a relationship, but Jenny doesn't exactly strike me as a good person, and I fear that she would hurt Julie in the nearest future if they became friends. Update number 3. Last I updated about the situation of things with my new family, and just like I predicted the last time, I was right about Julie becoming closer to her mother. Jenny kept popping in every now and then, so Julie grew tired of it. She finally accepted her mother's request to go on a lunch date with her. One lunch date together can't hurt, right? She told me that morning. Julie came back from that date that evening feeling quite, giddy. Mom said a lot of things about her past. I'm not justifying what she's done, but maybe I can cut her some slack, she told me. I feared this day would happen. Julie becoming closer to her mother, but then there was nothing I could do to stop it. I didn't even think it was in my place to stop it, although I did feel a tad bit jealous. Julie's becoming close to her mother might just mean that Julie's closeness with me would diminish. At least, that's what I thought. Julie did promise to keep her friendship with me. "Oh, come on," she told me one evening. "Nothing can spoil our friendship." I really wish that were true, though, and I prayed for it. Within the next few weeks, Julie began to soften up on her mother. She would speak to her mother on the phone for over 10 minutes and even go on her with dinner dates. Anthony said he could see through her lies, though. Jenny was real manipulative. She didn't even love Julie. She just wanted to cause some mischief, as usual. He told me to watch and wait. Jenny always has something up her sleeve, he told me. She doesn't really care for that girl. About 2 weeks ago, I got a text from an unknown number. "I know all about your dirty secrets," it read. I didn't understand what it meant, and worse, I had no idea who the recipient could be. The next thing I knew, my phone was flooded with pictures. Then it dawned on me that really, this person did know about my secrets. Something I couldn't even tell Anthony because I feared he would be really disappointed. I didn't know who sent the message, so I just had to let it go. Sooner, the person would reveal himself, or herself, to me. Update number 4, just a few days later. It's been a few days since I last updated on my story. Good news. I'm now aware of the person who sent the text message. Bad news, that person's definitely someone that should not even know about my secrets. Some days after the anonymous message was sent to my phone, Jenny came popping up to our doorstep as usual. Is Julie home?" she asked. However, Julie wasn't home. She was out with friends. It did seem she didn't come to see Julie, though, because Jenny faced me and said, "Hey, I'm here for you." I wondered what that was all about. I offered her a cup of tea, but of course she declined and said that she wanted absolutely nothing from me. "I know about your dirty secret," she said, the second she walked into the house. And that's when it struck me that she was the one who texted me all these days ago. I didn't have her number before then, so I couldn't have known it was her. I knew the secret she was talking about. I used to be a stripper in my earlier years before I got a job as a banker. When I was still in college, I hardly had any money to sponsor myself. My parents were poor, and I had fees to pay, The stripper job was the fastest way to make money, so I took it. However, the moment I saved up some thousands of dollars from it, I stopped. Never told my parents or even friends about it. Only a few folks knew, folks that were also in the game. The pictures Jenny sent me were not only pictures of me at the club, but also pictures of me with a married man. Not just any married man, but the father of Julie's ex-boyfriend. I didn't know Julie's ex-boyfriend's dad was married at the time. It was many years ago, and when I met him, he wasn't with his ring. He told me that he was still single, and I believed it. I told Jenny that I wasn't aware he was married, but Jenny was bent on making it into a big deal. Also, she said that Anthony was going to know about my past, and then he would get a divorce because of it, and come back to her. Jenny also said Julie would hate me for dating her boyfriend's father. She threatened to reveal my secret to Anthony and Jenny, but not only was I scared that I would lose them both, but I was also pregnant at the moment and feared that I would end up a single mom. So, that evening I told Anthony about my past. I told him about how I used to be a dance stripper before I became a banker, and my relationship with Julie's ex-boyfriend's dad. I only got to know about Julie's ex-boyfriend's dad the day Julie talked about him. I asked Julie some questions about him, and then she told me his full name. The name was one I could not forget, and after that day I just felt really guilty about it. Anthony decided to forgive me for my past. He said, "Hey, it's your past. We all have a past, and in what planet do you think I'd ever judge you for it?" He told me that he knew Jenny was going to stir up some trouble. She had made investigations about me just so she could sabotage my marriage and make Julie hate me. Anthony might not care about my past, but I had no idea what Julie was going to say about it. I do not think Julie would care about your past. She's smart. She'll understand, Anthony told me. Well, he's probably right, but that doesn't erase the fear. Update number 5. I've lived in fear since the day Jenny told me about my secrets. I feared that one day she would tell Julie all about it, and Julie would hate me for it. I haven't found the courage to tell Julie about it yet. I was probably looking for the perfect timing to say it. In all honesty, it's actually not Julie's business, but then I'd already had this sort of friendship with her, and I didn't want to destroy it. That aside, she would be disgusted that I was once in a relationship with her ex-boyfriend's dad. Jenny kept coming to our place once, a week, and each day she came, her eyes seemed to be daring like she would spoil the beans. I'd stayed back at work longer than usual, just so I could avoid bumping into Jenny. But then I couldn't totally avoid her, no. Jenny was basically everywhere. My baby bump was becoming bigger, and I needed a lot of rest. So I had to stay at home more, and Anthony did promise that I shouldn't feel threatened by Jenny's presence. I would talk to her and tell her your past is none of her business. He says to me one day he did talk to her about it, but Jenny didn't seem like the kind to just back off. I was beginning to want that restraining order after all. I felt it was time for Jenny to finally stay away. Jenny kept showing up frequently, more than ever. At this point, I felt that something was up. One evening, I got a text from Julie saying that we needed to see. Finally, I could figure out why she was always popping at the house more than usual these days. So, we agreed to meet at a little restaurant a bit distant from the house. I wondered what it was that she couldn't text me about it on the phone, or come to the house to say like she always did. I was curious to hear about what she had to say, so I agreed to meet up with her. Well, what Jenny told me at the restaurant was really shocking. She said that if I really wanted her to keep quiet about my past and not spill the beans to Julie, then I should get a car in her name and gift it to Julie. Julie's 17th birthday was coming up in a few weeks, and so getting her a gift was top of my priority. Our family wasn't so buoyant, so getting a car for Julie was quite a big deal. I didn't really have the funds for a car, and even if I did, why would Julie's mom manipulate me into getting a car for her daughter? Can't you just buy the car yourself? I asked Jenny. But clearly she didn't have the funds for it either. Or maybe she did, and was just so selfish to get the car with her money because she obviously had other luxury things to buy with money. Jenny told me that if I got the car in her name, then she would let me off the hook and say many good things about me to Julie. That aside, she would manipulate Julie and make sure she got full custody of her. Neither Anthony or I would be seeing Julie ever again. I couldn't let that happen. I just couldn't. I was quite afraid because I didn't want Julie to hate me. I also feared that Jenny might use her manipulative skills to gain full custody of Julie. I couldn't even tell Anthony about it because Jenny said if I did, she would spill my secret to Julie. For several days, I contemplated on it. It is just a car after all. Getting one might affect my finances, but I was pretty sure I'd make the money back within a month or two. Apart from my career as a banker, I had a side online business that brought weekly money into my account. So, just like Jenny requested, I got the car in Jenny's name 3 weeks before Julie's birthday. Final update. Update number 6, 5 weeks after the last update. Guys, I could talk about what happened after earlier because I'd recently had my baby and had been occupied with settling into my new reality. I didn't reveal the whole truth about the car the last time I talked about it. So I did get a car. But what Jenny didn't know was that I haven't paid for the car yet. In fact, the plan was to make sure that Jenny would pay for the car. I'd even tricked Jenny into signing the car payment papers because she thought Julie would see that she bought the car, even though she had no plans to pay for it. Also, I finally summoned up the courage to tell Julie about my past. I told her some few days before her birthday, and I wanted Jenny to hold nothing against me, so I had to tell Julie. Well, Julie wasn't disappointed like I expected. She literally told me everybody has a past. I was so relieved. Julie doesn't judge me for my past, and in fact, she was slightly annoyed that I would think she would hate me on what happened in the past. On Julie's birthday, everyone was present, and when I say everyone, I meant I, Anthony, Jenny, some new friends and family, and of course Julie. One other person that was present was Julie's baby brother, whom I've had about 10 days to Julie's birthday. To Julie, having a baby brother was enough of a gift for her. She wanted nothing more. After folks shared gifts, I made a final announcement. I told folks around Jenny I'd bought a car for Julie and would love to present it to her. However, I did far more than that. In front of everybody, I told Jenny that in order for the car to be legally handed over to Julie, she had to pay for it. She was quite shocked. I called the dealership agent and handed the phone to Jenny. Then he explained to her that she was the one to make the payments for the car, not me. Well, Jenny was still confused somehow. She threatened to spill my secrets to Julie, but Julie stepped up, saying she knew about all my dirty secrets, and her mother could not threaten me for it and use it for blackmail. She also told Jenny that she had breached her trust, quote, "You want to gift your daughter a gift, yet you can't even pay for it," I told Jenny in front of everyone. I promised to pay for the car, and that was what I did. I just wanted everyone to know how manipulative Jenny really is, and that she would never change. Currently, Julie has cut all contact with Jenny, and she vowed not to have anything to do with her mother again. Anthony saw all this forthcoming. He also got the restraining order against Jenny and no longer has access to her home. I am not one to advocate a child staying away from her mother, but Jenny, well, Jenny really did deserve what happened. Do I feel bad about it? No, no. Jenny's the a-hole of the story, not me. So I think the best lesson that we can take from this story is it's just good to come clean. Whatever giant secrets you think you're holding in, just let them out. Whenever someone finds out, do not let them hold that over your head. This was just a classic case of blackmail, and it turned out her daughter and her husband did not even care about her past. Guys, let me know your thoughts about this story. Drop your comments down below how you would have handled this basic blackmail. Let me know. And also, if you're new here, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day.